But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been.
Yes, Joe Scarborough, a.k.a. Mo Yarborough, from 3 months ago, telling us that Joe Biden is beyond cogent. He redefines cogent. He's the brightest president the world has ever seen. The media lost the debate last night. Boy, did the media lose the debate. They should be sitting in the corner with their dunce hats on today. The biggest liars in the world, the most corrupt institution in the United States of America, the American news media, exposed as the liars that they are last night. Again, Joe Scarborough, weeks ago, 3 months ago now, telling us that Joe Biden is the sharpest, brightest, most cogent president. Never seen anybody this bright. They lie all the time. They're lying. Joe Scarborough lies all the time. If he's talking, he's lying. He's filthy. He's a filthy liar. Ask his ex-wives. How many ex-wives? I don't know. Ask them all. Go ahead. He's got his current semi-inflatable flotation device of a third wife, who's not the brightest woman in the world. I think it would be fair to say. Remarkable things last night. Now, there are some very basic questions. Texting back and forth with my friend Marty, and he raised a very, very good question. And that question is, who's running the White House? Who's running the the country, rather? And that really is an important question. We saw him last night, Joe Biden. He's the president of the United States, the alleged leader of the free world. Who is running the White House? Because you can see that it's not Joe Biden. Who's running our foreign policy? It's not Joe Biden. Who's running our economic policy? It's Joe Biden isn't running anything. He can barely run his mouth. I was texting very early on in the process last night, in the big debate last night. I was texting, he's not blinking. And I was texting law enforcement people. I texted several different people, including law enforcement people. And I said, wait a minute, he's not blinking. He's not blinking at all. Doesn't that suggest amphetamines? Doesn't that look like amphetamines too? He's bug-eyed. He's got these, I think pie-eyed might be one term. His dilated pupils, the black pupils dilated. His eyelids not blinking at all. His mouth hanging open. He was physically rigid and frozen, not natural at all. And the no blinking. He was, I'd say, on drugs. I'd say that he was on drugs of some kind. It looked that way, and I was texting people last night, hey, come on. Isn't that an indication of amphetamine or methamphetamine intake? Because normally people blink. It's normal to blink when you're standing there. And it's normal also not to have your mouth hanging open and look slack-jawed. He looked like he needed medical attention for most of the night. And two things were revealed. One is that Joe Biden is not up to the task. We already knew this. You know, if you listen to this radio show, you already know. And this is one of the great absurdities of the whole thing, is that apparently the limited number of viewers at CNN and at MSDNC, they were shocked. They were alarmed. They couldn't believe what they were seeing last night, because they get their fake news from fake news organizations like Fake News CNN and Fake News MSNBC, and from the fake news Washington Post. Boy, the Washington Post is quite incredible today, too. I've got to say, they've got a big story. They think they're fact-checking. I've got a fun fact-check for you, too. They think they're fact-checking the Washington Post, and they said, oh, yeah, Trump said that Biden is a Manchurian candidate just because of the huge sums of money from communist China flowing into the Biden family coffers. No big deal. And they say without evidence. Yeah, you guys are the same people that said that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation, and that Trump was colluding with Russia, right? And that Obama's not a commie, and that penitentiary faced Brennan with the 51, the felonious 51 letter. Oh, no, that's all good. That's kosher. That's good. And 51 intelligence officials, or as Joe Biden said, 50 intelligence officials, because he gets absolutely everything wrong. Remarkable stuff. But the big takeaways, the macro takeaways. again from my friend Marty, who's running the White House? Because it's not this guy. Who is really the president of the United States? Is it just Barack Obama with his hand up the sock puppet? And you remember when Barack Obama said that he'd like to be president for a third term if he could just stay home in sweats and be on the phone and just phone it in. And Barack Obama is ruining the country from afar while he holds up a multi-million-dollar oceanfront estates.
I wish like you had a third term. If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with that.
He'd be fine with that. He's always a lazy SOB. Everybody knows that. Never really had any interest in doing anything productive or positive. Hiring commies to be a CIA director who then tamper in our presidential election without consequence because of a filthy, corrupt institution called the Fourth Estate, the American news media. So the big takeaway, Joe Biden is not running the country. Joe Biden is not president of the United States. And B, the news media is the most corrupt, and I've been saying this forever and ever because it's true, the most corrupt institution in America. And the news media was exposed last night. I mean, their house of cards blew up like Hiroshima. Do you prefer Hiroshima or Hiroshima? But it just blew up last night. The news media's fraud was exposed last night like nobody's business. And then I picked up the Washington Post today. My best girl picked up the Washington Post today. And the fraud continues on the front page of the Washington Post. Amazing times we are in. Our news media is the most corrupt institution in America. The lie is so big that Joseph Goebbels would believe it. It's just extraordinary. The lies they tell. And the lies they keep telling us, oh, no, like I just played the Joe Scarborough from 3 months ago. Oh, Joe Biden is more cogent than ever. He's the brightest. He's never been sharper. He's never been better. The lie is so gigantic that Hitler would blush. He would laugh out loud. Nobody lies like these people lie. They're the biggest liars in the world. Honestly, it's the old Elena Gorakova, the Soviet author from her book, A Mountain of Crumbs. The rules are simple. They lie to us. We know they're lying. They know we know they're lying, but they keep lying to us. And she continues, and we keep pretending to believe them. And the Democrats and the media, they keep pretending to believe it. I don't know why they keep, I think the truth is pretty easy and it works very well for me. I love the truth. These people don't love the truth. They have disdain for the truth, contempt for the truth. The truth is not their friend. The lie is their friend. And the lie is so big. And again, they're in a hot tub. It's the Circle Fest in a hot tub. And I've got to say also, and I commented while the debate was going on, my best girl and I said, the Jake Tapper and Dana Bash must have been cowed into being on their best behavior. And they were far from perfect, but they were much better than I had expected, I've got to say. They weren't nearly as bad as I expected, another way of putting it. But the news media was exposed as the giant lie. They're telling you, what do they call them? Not deep fakes. What do they call them? Cheap fakes. They said, if you notice that Joe Biden is wandering off at the G7 in Italy, well, that's just a cheap fake. And Joe Biden bumping into furniture, and Joe Biden's arms are not moving, and Joe Biden's mouth is hanging open, and Joe Biden is losing his train of thought. If you notice that, that's just right-wing media engaging in conspiracy theories. And that's what you've been hearing from our corrupt, filthy, rotten Democrat, rotten to the core news media for years now, literally for years. It's not even months, it's years. And last night, all of that blew up. The whole Democrat media project just blew, because I haven't seen the ratings, but I'm sure it's going to be the highest rated. One of my brothers was watching it. He said, found it so depressing, he had to turn the channel and go to something else. But the reality is the truth came out last night. At least some truth came out last night. And it was in spite of the news media, and they're still lying about it. But we've got a bunch of media that last night, let me give you a little sample of the news media reaction, because they're beside themselves. They are the Democratic Party. They are the real Democratic Party in the news media. Then there's some commies digging a tunnel under your house to kidnap your daughter. That's the Democrat Party too. But here are the headlines from the radical left-wing Mediaite. Biden should drop out of the presidential race. That's the headline. And that's it. That's the whole headline. That's pretty good. Breaking news from MSNBC hosts report panicked Biden inner circle discussing dropping out. Now, who's been saying this forever and ever? I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to break my arm, patting myself on the back, because I've been calling this forever and ever. CNN's Van Jones, speaking of communists, because he used to self-describe as a communist before he got $1 million job at CNN. Now he's a communist with $1 million job at CNN. And he had a job in the Obama White House, too, because he was a communist, not in spite of the fact that he's a communist. And he's a racist, but that's okay. CNN's Van Jones, on verge of tears, says Biden should be replaced. Biden should be replaced if he will let us, because, they're like saints. They're like George Floyd is a saint. If he will let us. And radical left-wing extremist at the New York Times, Nicholas Kristof, last night, he's got an X account, hasn't been banned, and he posted that it's time for Biden to drop out. And they're calling it a shock column. It's a shock column that he says that Joe Biden should drop out of the race. Now, for how long have I been saying this? Maybe they should listen to this show and pay attention to me, because I am so far ahead of them and have been so far ahead of them on this that I'm embarrassed for all of them, but I will break my arm patting myself on the back. So Elie Mystal, a radical racist Democrat. I think he hates the Jews too, doesn't he? Doesn't he hate the Jews? He might even be Jewish. Doesn't matter. Hates the Jews anyway. And Elie Mystal, he's an MSNBC radical, says, my kid just said, colon. He puts a colon there. They love their colons. It's sad to watch a pack of lies beat a good person just because the good person can't speak. That's what Elie Mystal said on his Twitter there. And that's what his kid said. And his kid is 2 years old. That's not really. He's probably 40, and it's probably not even his. It's somebody else's. But it's sad to watch a pack of lies beat a good person just because the good person can't speak. That's what Elie Mystal's kid says. That's what he says. He's lying, of course, because if he's typing, he's lying. If he is speaking, he is lying. If he's sitting by himself in a car in traffic, he's lying silently, honestly. And then another headline from Politico, the left-wing Politico. The headline is WTF, in quotation marks, WTF, which means that's short. That's an abbreviation, another abbreviation. That's for what the heck, what the heck. WTF, it says, colon, and they love their colons. Panicked Dems start looking for alternatives to Biden. That's the headline. Yes, it is. And the Joe Scarborough. And I just played Joe Scarborough 90 days ago, telling us that Joe Biden is the smartest, most cogent president that we've ever had, and we're truly privileged to live in such a golden era. And then last night, Joe Scarborough's sad reaction to Biden debate performance. Trump will win in 2024, quote, unless there's a change. Well, now the genius has to be changed out, Joe? You filth, you lying Sacagawea. And I apologize to Sacagawea, who could never lie like Joe Scarborough lies. Just amazing stuff. And the Economist headline, Joe Biden's horrific debate performance casts his entire candidacy into doubt. You think? Yeah, I think so. Joe Biden lied about a lot of stuff. The Washington Post attacked Donald Trump for calling Joe Biden the Manchurian candidate. Just because he takes $1 million from communists in China, and his son flew over on Air Force Two and cut business deals, and they lied to us about it and said there was no business. Just because everything's been a lie for 3 years. The news media is, again, they are the Soviet Union living among us. They are TASS and Pravda and Izvestia. They are not American journalists. They're Democrat Party frauds and shills. Masses and masses of them. So we've got that today. What did you see last night? We're at 888-630-9625.
The panic that I am hearing from Democrats is not like anything that I have heard in this campaign so far.
The Politico playbook, Democrats wake up to a nightmare. Fox News reporter Jackie Heinrich talking to Democrats. It's her job. Sources saying the race is over. We are beeped. I can't use that word here. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Marie, calling from Fairfax, Virginia. Marie, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Thanks for having me. Hey, I just wanted to give you the impression that I got from my son, who's 19 years old, is going to be a college sophomore, and he does not follow politics. I definitely am the political junkie of the family, and he sat with me and we watched the entire thing, and from the get-go, he kept looking at me like, oh my gosh, I had no idea Joe Biden was so old and so impaired. And like, at first he was shocked, and then it was just like, laughter. He was taking pictures, posting it to his friends. He said all his friends on Discord that were gamers and kids that are usually not that involved. He's like, we're all home on summer break and we watched it and we're all totally shocked. And he said clearly Trump seemed like he was decades younger, totally much more with it than Biden. And, you know, clearly Biden is like 2 years older than his grandfather. And he was like, this guy should not be president. He shouldn't, like other commenters have said, he shouldn't even have a real job. I mean, he should be at home with his wife and his grandchildren. And I am just disgusted with Jill Biden and the elder abuse that she's committed all these years, because this is, for anybody that's been paying attention, as we've all said, this has been going on for a good, 5 years, if not longer, with Joe Biden.
You laid that out beautifully, and I'm really happy to hear that your 19-year-old son had an eye-opening experience, and I hope that what he learned is something that he will have with him always. And what he learned, I think, Marie, is that the media lies all the time, and the lie is so big. I mean, honestly, this is a cover-up that has been revealed, a cover-up by almost the entirety of the news media. Only conservative media has been telling the truth for years now, for years. That was revealed last night.
This was a game-changing debate in the sense that right now, as we speak, there is a deep, a wide, and a very aggressive panic in the Democratic Party. It started minutes into the debate, and it continues right now.
That is John King on CNN last night. Step aside gender panic. Now they got their Joe Biden panic going on. Their Democratic Party panic. The lie was revealed last night for Marie's 19-year-old son, home from college, going to be a sophomore, taking photos, screenshots off of the TV, sending them to his friends, doubtless of Joe Biden with his eyes pinned open and his mouth slack-jawed, looking cadaverous. And I apologize to cadavers everywhere that are doing their best to look their best. It was really something. But the cover-up was exposed. And we now know that Joe Biden, we knew this, you knew this, I knew this, but CNN, and here's one of the things I talk about a lot, these news media people, the news anchors and reporters and pundits and so on, they don't actually follow the news. They don't know what's in they just get what they get from CNN and the Washington Post and MSDNC, and they think that they're well informed. And it's the old Ronald Reaganism. It's not that liberals don't know anything. It's just that so much of what they know is wrong. And honestly, extraordinary things last night going on there. Michael reminded me just a little while ago during the break that last year, 2023, on July 11th, I posted a video after the show, after the radio show, posted a video on, your various things. And in that video, I said, I'm making my prediction right now, July 11th of last year. Joe Biden will not be the nominee of the Democratic Party come Election Day. His name will not be on the ballot. They're going to have to get rid of him because you know it, I know it, the American people know it. Everybody knows if you get your news from legitimate outlets, if you're at all curious and aware and you accept the obvious, then you've known for a long time that Joe Biden, his brain, what is wrong with his brain? She's a no good, that brain. And everybody knows it. I know it. And I've been talking about it here forever. And July 11th, I decided to put it on a video because I'd been talking about it on the radio. And then Michael is saying, I said, I should be on the record saying that I don't believe Joe Biden will be the nominee come Election Day. Today is July 11th. It's 7/11. And I'm here to tell you that Joe Biden is out. Joe Biden is not going to be the Democrat nominee next year for the presidency of the United States. The magic 8-ball would tell you all signs point to Chris is right. I think I went on from there, but magic 8-ball point, that's one of the available things on the little dice in there, whatever that is. Chris is right is one of the magic 8-ball options. But now, everywhere you look, oh, sure, playing catch-up over here. And they're pretending, all the fake news media frauds and liars who cheat on their wives and cheat on their husbands and cheat on their taxes, they've been lying to us all along. And I assume most of them know that they're lying and what they're saying is not true, but they're just bootlicks for the Democrat Party. And they give a tongue bath to whichever Democrat comes along, instead of telling the truth. And if it leads to World War III and 1 billion people being killed, then so be it. Because don't you know, the party reigns supreme. Amazing things. So we know that Joe Biden's not in charge. We know that the news media is the biggest fraud and the biggest pack of liars you're going to find anywhere in Western civilization, and that they've been engaging in a sustained years-long fraud that has been perpetrated against the American people. One layer of this macro fraud that the left is inflicting upon us, because they have secured information dominance in the United States of America, a military and intelligence concept, information dominance. And they've used that information dominance to create massive lies, like penitentiary face Brennan and all these CIA people saying that Hunter Biden's laptop had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. They have all the earmarks of Russian spies, of Russian disinformation, of Russian liars lying to the American people. But the reporting from the New York Post never had anything other than the earmarks of legitimate journalism, of serious journalism. And we all knew from the owner of the repair shop in Delaware where Hunter Biden left his laptop, we all knew from the videos and the photographs and the recordings and everything else on the laptop that the laptop was real. The FBI had the laptop many months before anybody else. The FBI engaged in an active cover-up. The intelligence community engaged in an active effort to tamper, a successful effort, I might add, to tamper with our presidential election in 2020. We live in very corrupt times, and still the most corrupt institution is the news media, not the FBI or the Justice Department or the Intelligence Committee, who are filthy corrupt, make no mistake. But the news media is the key to it all. That's the key. That's the backbone of the corruption, is the news media. Aren't they? Yes, they are. All right, let me get to some of the events from last night, because it was really something. It was a breathtaking event. President Trump, I haven't even gotten to President Trump. President Trump was exactly what he should have been last night, precisely what he should have been. He was contained. He didn't jump in. He let Joe Biden make a fool of himself. And I was concerned at a couple of points. I was like, don't jump in. He's burying himself. He's walking off a cliff. He's wandering off the reservation again. Just let him go. And President Trump was focused and contained and mellow. And he let, the news media's plan was to have Joe Biden go in. And he's at Camp David for 6 days or 8 days or whatever he is at Camp David with a team of 16 experts training him in a converted theater and a converted airplane hangar and all these political experts and TV experts and Hollywood people, and they're there and they're training him, and he's going to have these, these prepped responses and these lines that are going to make headlines, and the news media is going to have the sound bites of Joe Biden being a genius, and he's going to egg on President Trump and provoke him and make President Trump deliver outrageous sound bites that the news media would use all over the place. And the opposite happened. 180 degrees off of that. The exact opposite. President Trump was calm, cool, collected, tame, focused. His eyes were focused. He saw Joe Biden was wandering off, and he just let him finish. Let him go. Let him finish. Can't complain about Trump. They're still attacking Trump. The news media, front page of the Washington Post, still attacking Trump for pointing out, the million in Chinese communist money going to the Biden family. How dare you point that out? It's supposed to be the job of the Washington Post to point that out, but they engage in an active cover-up, a sustained cover-up, and when it's revealed, as it has been by way of Chairman Comer on Capitol Hill, the Biden family checks and receipts and the bank transfers and the suspicious activity reports at the Treasury Department. But the Washington Post is unaware of all of that, or they're such filthy liars. They're such gigantic liars. It's just amazing. Now let's go to soundbite number 1, which is sometimes a good place to start. Joe Biden, President of the United States, last night at the big debate, his make or break debate.
We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, dealing with everything we have to do with, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
And then Jake Tapper jumps in because he realizes that Joe Biden is being sucked into the vortex of the black hole that, sucked up that Malaysian airliner. Remember Don Lemon said probably a black hole came down, sucked up the airliner. And the COVID, what are you talking about? And he became completely incoherent. And again, President Trump, calm, cool, collected, standing there, looking, not even making faces or waving his hand so much. And I was making faces, and I was saying all kinds of stuff. And my best girl and I were having a riot. We were having the time of our lives. It was great. And making fun and laughing out loud. And you have the DVR. I have the DVR, so I can freeze it and go back and all kinds of great stuff. It was wonderful for us, anyway, for Joe Biden and the Biden family. And then Joe Biden actually told the horse-faced pony soldier thing last night. We'll get to that as well. I know some people had that as part of their drinking game. He didn't get to it until after the debate, but he did have a horse-faced pony soldier. So there he is. What are you babbling? This incoherent rambling, and then Jake Tapper. Hey, Grandpa. Let's just walk over here, shall we? I'll drive you. I'll drive you to the Walmart. Come with me. Amazing stuff. So, Joe, that was a big moment. We've finally beat Medicare. What are you talking about? Elderly care, child care. Child care is not part of Medicare, but okay. Amazing stuff. And our healthcare system, didn't you guys fix that? It's called Obamacare. Now it's all better, isn't it? Didn't you just fix that like 10 minutes ago? And every single person will be eligible for COVID or whatever he's talking about. Joe Biden, that was monumental. And that was Democrats started throwing themselves off of rooftops in New York when Joe Biden said that. And again, this is where he kind of wandered off again, and I guess is talking about one of the many women or girls that have been murdered by illegal aliens in the United States, but he's not sure what he's talking about.
Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal:
and illegal.
There's a lot of young women are being raped by their in-laws, by their by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
And there goes Dana Bash. Uh-oh, he's going up again. Better save him again. Better jump in and save him there. It's as good as they could get. They were feeling. Now, wait a minute. A lot of people are being raped by their brothers and sisters and by their in-laws, which is his way of saying, so what's the big deal if illegal aliens are going around raping 13-year-old girls in parks in New York and raping and killing 12-year-old girls in Texas and raping and murdering mothers of 5 in Maryland and raping and murdering people and women in Pennsylvania and remember that guy that went on the lam in the woods for 2 weeks, another illegal alien stabbing to death a woman. But Joe Biden is babbling incoherently, rambling about being raped by a lot of women being raped by their in-laws, by their brothers and their sisters. He built sisters in there, which is sexist, I think. Absolutely berserk. So that's Joe Biden last night. And that's why the headlines today are panicked Biden inner circle discussing dropping out. And the thing is, if you get your news from CNN and the Washington Post, you live in a hermetically sealed chamber created by the Democrat Party where the truth never reaches you because they don't report the truth. I report the truth. And Joe Biden, I don't know, the economy, the pandemic, something, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president, what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right.
Lie. In fact, one of the Lion Sacagaweas at CNN did a fact check, and the fact check, I've got to say, is not that bad. It's I think they were so shocked by all the stuff they heard. That bleach thing, and that bleach thing is one of the things that the CNN fake fact checker fact-checked last night, and I want to share that with you coming up as well. Let's grab another phone call, Michael. Let's go to, I got a lot more of Joe Biden. Then I've got a lot of media. We've got President Trump as well. But Joe Biden was the star of the night in his own special way, and I mean special way. He took the short limo home last night. Let's go to Marco calling from Springfield, Virginia. Marco, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, I know you're going to be busy today, so I'm going to be brief. If anybody's planning on voting for Biden after last night's performance, there's only one explanation: party before country. And it really is a delusional approach to, the future of this country. But it did expose the liars on those Looney Tune stations. And I do hope that the people that watch MSLSD and CNN are going to finally wake up. Hopefully The View will go off the air because it's just a clown show anyways. But I do want the Democrat Party to keep Biden as the candidate because I want him to lose in the biggest landslide election in American history because he's earned it. And one more thing with that split screen, it kind of reminded me of that Star Trek episode of Captain Pike where, he can't speak or anything, but he's got that flashing light that answers for him. You remember that one?
Well, I tell you, I got to tell Marco, one of the keys in what you just said there is I hope the Democrats keep Biden and that he is on the ballot on Election Day. And I know a lot of people feel that way. My friend Jeff was texting that yesterday. I think I shared that on the air. And, keep Biden because he's the biggest loser. And it could be, Ronald Reagan's reelection is 1984. He won 49 states, Ronald Reagan did, because he was doing such a great job and he was such a great guy. And the media lied about him and slandered him and maligned him as well. And then he won 49 states in his second go-around, 1984. And honestly, Joe Biden, I just can't believe the Democrat Party will keep him. If they do, that would be more proof that they are so confident in their control of information that they could elect a bag of expletive-deleted president of the United States. They get John Fetterman elected to the Senate. They could get Joe Biden elected to the presidency at this point, then we need to flush and start over again in this country.
It's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
Now, a Biden advisor on CNN this morning says Joe Biden is not dropping out. Who's that Biden advisor?
Kayla Tosh.
Who?
I have no idea.
Kayla Tosh? Never heard of Kayla Tosh. Is that a woman? Sent out this woman. It's like a sacrificial thing. They threw her into a volcano. Yeah, go out and say Biden's not dropping out. Let's take another phone call, Michael. Let's go to Ivan calling from Miramar Beach, Florida. Ivan, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Good morning. How you doing?
Very well.
Hey, Chris. After that debacle last night, it's time to shift. To me, it's time for us to shift our messaging from Joe Biden to the Democrat Party. You know, Trump started a little bit last night when he called out Nancy Pelosi for admitting that she was responsible for January 6th. But Biden should be done after last night, and maybe officially soon. But after last night, it's not one Democrat, Chris, that has disagreed with any of Biden's destructive policies. The open borders, the forced vaccinations, the shutdowns, the Trump impeachment, they're all the same. The millions that have flooded the border, it doesn't matter who their nominee will be. They're all the same, except they take election year pauses to pretend that they're not the people who did the things that we saw him do. Chris, last night Biden tried to say the crime was down, and the only reason why crime is down is because Democrat prosecutors don't prosecute. Democrat judges are crooked. They pervert justice. Democrat scientists, they lied about global warming, COVID. Democrat teachers teach CRT. They teach 86 genders. They teach a man can have a baby. They teach anti-Semitism. They teach reverse racism. The Democrat media, like you said, they lie daily. Our message right now should be, regardless of who their nominee is, that it's the Democrats. Democrats want to change the institution of America.
That's the fundamental transformation, right?